Hey there everyone, finally we have access to the Grok 3 thinking model, and that means it is time to compare the frontier of LLMs, the best of the best. We have Grok 3 thinking, O3 mini high and Deepseek R1, the state of the art models. Let's see how they compare when it comes to reasoning, max and coding. Without further ado, let's get started guys. Okay guys, so this is our first question, starting off with reasoning. So let me just send this question and then I'll explain you what the question actually is. So sending this, and here you can see this is the question. We have plotted some points on a coordinate plane, and what these models have to do is they have to connect these dots and understand what is the underlying word. Here you can see this is the whole combination that I've mentioned. So let's see which of these models are able to get it right and also the quickest. So okay, O3 Mini is done thinking as we are speaking for 34 seconds and it has got the correct answer guys. Artificial. Very good. Talking about Grok 3 thinking, it's still thinking, and Deepseek R1, as you guys know, it takes forever. Okay guys, so as we are speaking, Grok 3 thinking is done. It has thought for 74 seconds, so more than a minute, and let's see what is the response. And indeed, we have got the response. It says it is artificial. That's right. Moving on, Deepseek R1 is still thinking. Let's see what can we do over here. And finally, Deepseek R1 gets it, artificial, and it thought for 421 seconds, guys, which is around 7 minutes compared to just 34 seconds from O3 Mini High and just above a minute from Grok 3 thinking. Anyways, all of them get it right, so all of them earn 1 point. So now let's move on to the next question. Okay guys, so moving on to the next reasoning question. So this question requires logical thinking and spatial understanding as well. So the diagrammatic representation of this question will be visible to you. You can try it out. What you have to do is you have to actually look at the patterns, how the two grids result in the third one. With the help of those two examples, you have to predict the final grid. So let's see which model gets it right and how fast. Okay guys, O3 Mini High was the first one. It thought for just 32 seconds and let's see. We have got the correct answer. Absolutely awesome. O3 Mini High is blazing fast. Okay guys, so Grok 3 is done thinking. Thought for 66 seconds, just above a minute, and let's see. And that is the correct answer guys. Meanwhile, Deepseek R1 is still thinking, I guess. Okay. And finally, we do have an answer from Deepseek R1. And that is right guys. So let's see, it thought for around 171 seconds. So nearly 3 minutes. Anyways, all three models get it right, so they gain a point. Okay everyone, so moving on to the next question, and that seating arrangement question. So if you don't know, there are 8 friends P, Q, R, S, T, V, W and Y. They are made to sit around a square table according to certain conditions, and then their arrangement is completely changed. And they are made to sit again, but this time in clockwise direction, starting off with P. So what we have to do is we have to find who are those people whose seating position has not changed. So the correct answer is there is only one person, and that is Q. So let's see. Let's send this question to all three models. Let's see what we get. So in 1 minute and 2 seconds, we get a response from O3 Mini High. And let's see what it is. And it says excluding P, there is only one person whose position has not changed, and that is S. But that's not the correct answer. The correct answer is Q. So I've seen many reasoning models as well. They get the number of persons right, but they don't get the person right. Let's see if that changes today. Okay, so Grok 3 thinking has thought for 124 seconds, 2 minutes and 4 seconds, and let's see. Similarly, even Grok 3 thinking says only S at M2 remains unchanged, so we get the same response from Grok 3 thinking as well. Okay guys, so Deepseek R1 is done thinking and it has thought for around 295 seconds guys, nearly 5 minutes, and the response is only one seating arrangement, and the answer is only one person, and that is S. So as you guys can see, all three models have given us the same response. The reason they get this wrong is they fail to identify what is left and what is right according to the person's perspective. So that's the reason. Now let's move on to the next question. Okay guys, so now moving on to the hardest question that I have. Here you can see there is a tournament match between 64 participants, and this is happening in 6 different rounds. How these matches will be played between the players, that has been mentioned over here, and if you follow that, you will be coming up with this chart. So now these models have to map these charts in their mind and then answer the question that is down there. So I'll be explaining more, but let's get started with the testing. So let's send this question to all the three models. Now here what we say is, if player 23 and player 46 are playing with each other, then can these people down here, can they also play each other? I mean, like, can 9 play with 13, 6 with 18, 5 with 51, 17 and 15? Is this possible? So they have to check these combinations. Is there any chance that they can play with each other? If no, then they have to say none of these. Okay guys, now let me show you something special. So O3 Mini High took 10 minutes and 37 seconds. This is the highest I was able to make this model think. Nearly 11 minutes. And still, it gave us the wrong answer. Option D. Moving on, Deepseek R1, it thought for around 726 seconds, nearly 12.5 minutes, and it gave us the wrong answer. That is option E, none of these. Now, Grok 3 thinking just took 227 seconds, which is I think under 4 minutes, and it was able to reach the correct answer, guys. That is 9 and 13. Now, let me explain. How can we find out that these players will be playing with each other or not? It's simple, guys. If you look at this, it is just that none of the players should be from the bottom two quadrants. Here, they can't be from here. If any of these players who are mentioned here are from these two quadrants and the bottom half, there is no chance they can play. So both the players have to be in the upside. Let's check. 6 and 18. Now if you look for 18, see, have a look. 18 is here and actually even 6 is here. So 1 is enough but both are here, so that's not possible. Now 5 and 51. Let's have a look. You can have a look. 51 is over here, so not possible. 5 is up there. Here 5 is there, but since 51 is in the bottom side, not possible. Now 17 and 15. Let's have a look. See, we can clearly see 15 is over here again, so not possible. Whereas 9 and 13. If you look at 9 and 13, you can see 13 is up here and 9 is also up here. That's the reason it's the correct option. And Grok 3 was able to do it. This is the first model which is able to solve this. Absolutely impressive. Moving on, guys, this is our first max question. Let's send this to all three models. Let's see what we get. So I'm not testing these models for the very easy max questions because these models will anyways get that right. So testing for that question is actually pointless. So that's the reason I'm starting off with this question. So just as we are speaking, Uthimini is done in 13 seconds and we have got the response. The correct answer is 721. Absolutely awesome. Meanwhile, Deepseek R1 and Grok 3 thinking both are taking time. I have to clearly say that the newer models that has been released from OpenAI, they are very good at predicting the amount of time required for questions. Deepseek R1 is done thinking. It thought for around 171 seconds, guys, nearly 3 minutes, and we have got the response 721. That's correct. Meanwhile, Grok 3 thinking is still taking time. Okay, everyone, we have got the response from all three models, and have a look, guys. O3 Mini High and Deepseek R1 both get it right, but Grok 3 couldn't do it, guys. It took 661 seconds to give us a response, and still after that, it was not able to get it right. Okay, guys, so moving on to the next question. The correct answer is 104. Let's see, guys, which model gets it right. Okay, guys, we get the first response, and that is from Utripini High. It thought for 1 minute and 17 seconds, and it gets it right. It says the correct answer is 104. Meanwhile, Grok 3 thinking and Deepseek R1 are still thinking. Okay, next up, we got the response from Grok 3 thinking, and it has thought for 166 seconds. Let's look at the response. And it gets it right, guys. It says it's 104. And okay, so we do have a response from Deepseek R1 as well. And Deepseek R1 gets it wrong, guys. It says the correct answer is 236. That's actually wrong. The correct answer is indeed 104. Okay, guys, so now moving on to the frontier math question. As you guys can see, it's a pretty long question this time. The reason being, with the help of one of my subscribers, I was able to find the exact way Epoch AI tests these models on frontier math questions. So first let me send this question to all three models and then I'll explain. So instead of just getting the response in one single shot, what we do is we ask the model to arrive to the solution in steps. So instead of just arriving to the solution in one single step, it can write Python codes which has mathematical calculations. It can give that to me. I'll run the code and I'll send the output to these models. And through this back and forth, we can reach to the conclusion. So this is the exact way how frontier math used to benchmark their models. So let's see. So as you guys can see, O3 Mini High is done thinking. It thought for 2 minutes and 7 seconds and it has given us a code but not in correct format. We'll use GPT-4 to format this code. So this is the code that O3 Mini High has given us and we formatted it with the help of GPT-4o. So O3 Mini is asking me, please run this code and let me know the output. So this is the iterative step I was talking about. So meanwhile, when Grok 3 thinking and Deepseek R1 are still doing their thinking, we'll run this code and share the output to O3 Mini High. So this is the output, number of projective solutions over F5 equal to 6. So this will share directly to O3 Mini High and it will continue the solution. Okay guys, Deepseek R1 is still thinking, but we have got the response from Grok 3 thinking as well. It has given us two codes. One is an intermediary code that it is asking us to run. And the second one, it says that if this holds true, then this will be the final answer. So instead of just directly moving to the final answer, it should have stopped here, should have waited for us to actually provide the output of the code. Anyways, I think the output of this code should be 26. Let's see if that's true. Let's run the code and it says 20 and 22. So we'll just paste this response to Grok. We'll mention the first code you gave has output this. So we'll just send this to Grok 3 thinking. And meanwhile, I think O3 mini high is ready with its response. Let's copy the code and let's run this. So it says that please run this code block to verify the output. Let's run this. And this is the response, guys. We have got the response. So let's compare the response, guys. This is the correct answer. And O3 mini high gets it right, guys. Absolutely awesome. O3 mini high correctly followed our steps and gave us the correct answer. That is a pass from O3 mini high. Meanwhile, Deepseek R1 is still thinking. Grok 3 thinking has thought for 25 seconds and it has given us a response. So I've read the response, guys. It says the previous code is actually the correct one. So we'll copy the code and let's see. So let's paste the code and let's run it. Okay, we have got the response, guys. And it's not the same. It's very close, but it's not the same response, guys. So it says the answer starts from 38146. But here, as you can see, the answer is 38147. So it's very close, but not the correct response. And also, we could see that Grok 3 thinking didn't follow the procedure. It should have given us the intermediary code and then after pasting the response, it should have continued. But O3 mini high correctly followed our response. Whether its initial assumption was correct or wrong, that we don't know. But we gave the feedback, it was able to think about it, and then it gave us the exact output. That is nice. Meanwhile, Deepseek R1 is done thinking. This is its first response, guys, after taking forever. So let's copy the code, let's paste it and let's run. So we do have the response, guys. 3814697. So it is similar to what we got from Grok 3 thinking as well. So both models failed simply because they directly reached the conclusion without actually taking our help. So this is a clear pass from O3 mini high. Okay guys, so now moving on to the coding section. This is the first question that we are going to send. Write a snake game in Python using PyQt5. So let's send this question to all three models. And we are using this particular question because PyQt5 natively is not a library for games, but for graphical user interfaces. Okay guys, we have got the response from all three models. Starting off with Deepseek R1. It has thought for around 257 seconds, guys. More than 4 minutes. So let's copy the code. Let's see. That works. Let's eat the food once again. Yes, and let's see what happens when we hit the wall. Okay, score 2. If we click OK, then it restarts. As you guys can see, if I click OK, it restarts. Okay, awesome. Moving on to O3 mini high. Let's copy the code and let's run it. Okay, so we get a similar kind of interface, but I think this is slightly better because we have a distinctive head with different color. But other than that, everything is same. Let's see what happens when we hit the wall. Okay, do you want to play again? Yes, and that works. Absolutely awesome. Now moving on to Grok 3 thinking. Let's copy the code. Immediately we don't see any kind of errors. Let's run it. That looks awesome. So we don't have a distinctive head, but anyways, it works. That's absolutely awesome. Let's see what happens when we hit the wall. You lost. So if we click OK, it doesn't restart. But anyways, it's good. Okay, so this is what you're sending to all three models. Make the head look like a snake's head and also make it move like a snake. Give the updated code. So let's send this to all three models. Okay guys, we have got the responses from O3 mini high. It reasoned for around 31 seconds. Moving on to Deepseek R1. It thought for around 104 seconds and Grok 3 thinking took similar time, that is 109 seconds. Now starting off with Deepseek R1, let's see what we have got here. So let's paste the code. Immediately we don't see any kind of errors. Let's run it and that looks awesome. But we don't have the movement like that of a snake. Let's see what happens when we hit a wall and yes, score 7. Okay, so similarly like the previous code, if we hit OK, then the game restarts. Nice. But it was not able to implement the snake's movement. Moving on to O3 mini high, let's copy the code, let's paste it and let's run. Okay, that didn't run guys, that is a fail. Let's try once again. That didn't run guys, that's a fail. Moving on to Grok 3 thinking, let's copy the code, let's paste the code and let's run it. That didn't run as well. Okay, so let's do one thing, let's give this feedback to the models and with that we'll also mention to upgrade the game. Okay guys, we have pasted the header when it comes to O3 mini AI and Grok 3 thinking, and with that what you have mentioned is now two AI snakes compete with each other. The big one can either eat the food or the snake piece by piece. The smaller snake has to evade the bigger snake and try to eat the food to eventually become bigger. The game ends when one snake is completely eaten up. So let's send this question to all three models. Let's see what we get. Okay guys, so we have got the response. Deepseek R1 thought for just 21 seconds. O3 mini high took 1 minute and 10 seconds and Grok 3 thinking took 87 seconds, which is nearly 1.5 minutes. So let's start with Deepseek R1. Let's copy the code. Okay, so immediately we don't see any errors. Let's run the code and we can see two snakes and they are competing. Absolutely awesome. As you guys can see, the red snake is being chased by the blue snake, and I think it's going to be eaten up, and that's awesome, guys. Blue snake wins. That was a working code. Absolutely awesome. This shows that Deepseek R1 is a very good coding model, guys. Let's see what O3 Mini High has come up with. Let's paste the code and let's run it. Okay, the snake head looks even awesome, guys. It says big snake win, small snake crashed. Play again. Okay, let's see. The head looks absolutely awesome. I have to say that the snakes are trying to eat itself. That's the reason we are seeing this error. And even in the when the game ends, right, you see small snake wins, big snake crashed. That is not what we wanted. So not a very great implementation, I would say. Moving on to Grok 3 thinking, let's copy the code, let's paste the code and let's run it. Okay, so directly we had a head-on collision. It says draw head collision. So we don't see any kind of retry button. Let's try it once again. Green snake wins. Let's give it one more try. Okay, so if we are not able to see the actual gameplay, guys. Okay, now we are able to see that. As you guys can see, the snakes are moving and blue one is chasing the green one. And let's see, we don't see that randomness that we saw in Deepseek R1's code, which absolutely looked awesome. For sure the game is working, but I personally liked the one which that we got from Deepseek R1, and it doesn't seem like anything is going to change actually. Okay guys, so this is going to go indefinitely. So we can say that we got okay responses from all models, but Deepseek R1 absolutely shined, and that gains 1 point for Deepseek R1. Let's move on to the next question. Okay guys, so moving on to the next question. Can you code a dragon using HTML, CSS and JS? Show side view of the dragon and give your best implementation in one single code. So let's see what we get. Let's send this to all three models. Okay guys, we have got the response from all three models, starting off with Deepseek R1. It has thought for 23 seconds, O3 Mini thought for 31 seconds, and Grok 3 thinking again took some time, thought for 108 seconds. So let's copy Deepseek R1's code and let's paste it. Okay, so that does look like a dragon and it is weirdly connected to the cursor for some reason, and if we click we see this fireball, I guess, which should have come out of dragon, but okay, it slightly looks like a dragon but not a very good implementation, I would say. Moving on to O3 Mini, let's copy the code and let's paste it. Okay, again, as you guys can see, OpenAI models are not very good in design and aesthetics, and this is what you get from O3 Mini. Moving on to Grok 3, let's see, let's paste the code, and okay, that somewhat looks good, but not a very good implementation. If you have watched my previous video on 3.7 Sonnet, you might be knowing that these are very basic compared to that one. So comparatively, I would say that Deepseek R1's response was actually better. So this point as well goes to Deepseek R1. Now let's move on to the next question. Okay guys, so this is the next question that we are sending. Well, absolutely the best implementation of the Super Mario game in web page without using any external files. So let's send this to all three models. Okay everyone, we have got the response, and Deepseek R1 thought for 35 seconds, O3 Mini thought for 24 seconds, and again Grok 3 thinking took 96 seconds. That's interesting. Anyways, let's copy the code, let's paste it. Okay, I don't see anything. That seems like a fail, guys. Moving on to O3 Mini, let's see, let's paste the code. Okay, and that looks awesome. We have platforms to jump, and I think we had an enemy over there, right? Let's try the game once again. Yeah, we do have enemy, but it is going out of the view and there's no possible way for us to go there, and it is very basic implementation, guys, nothing special. It was comparatively better than Deepseek R1. It was at least able to run. Moving on to Grok 3 thinking, let's copy the code, let's open up a HTML viewer and paste it, and that looks awesome. That actually looks awesome, guys. This is the Mario, and I would not say that this is the best implementation that I've seen, but it is comparatively better than what other models gave us, guys. Also, we have a way to win, and that's absolutely awesome. That's a clear win for Grok 3 thinking. Let's move on to the next question. Okay guys, so this is the question. Write a Python code for a circle with an opening. There is a ball inside it which bounces, hitting against its walls and also when collide with each other. And that is the rest of the question. You can have a read. So let's send this to all three models and let's see what do we have here. Okay guys, we have got the response from all models. Deepseek R1 thought for 160 seconds. O3 Mini just thought for 49 seconds, and Grok 3 thinking took 130 seconds. Let's see. Let's copy the code from Deepseek R1. Let's paste the code and let's run it. Okay, so it's asking for a sound file. We'll mention that no external assets will be provided. Let's send this, and moving on to O3 Mini. Let's copy the code. Let's paste it and let's run. Okay, even this code is asking for audio file. So we'll send the same message. No external assets will be provided. Let's see. Moving on to Grok 3 thinking. Let's copy the code and let's run it. Okay, even this one is asking for an audio file. Let's send this. No external assets will be provided. We've got the code, guys. So let's copy. Starting off with Deepseek R1. Meanwhile, Grok 3 thinking is still thinking. Anyways, let's move on. So immediately we don't see any errors. Let's run it. Okay, and that didn't run, guys. That's a fail. Moving on to O3 mini high. Let's copy the code. We have pasted the code and let's run it. Okay, and that looks awesome. Okay guys, we can say that the exit is I think somewhere down here, but it has shown the opening over there. So that is not a clear win. So that is partially correct but not fully. Moving on to Grok 3 thinking. Let's paste the code immediately. We don't see any errors. Let's run this and that runs. Absolutely awesome. Similarly, we see this issue with Grok 3 thinking as well. This is where the opening is mentioned. The actual opening seems to be at the top. So again, I would not say that as a clear win. Comparatively, I would say that we at least have an indication over here of the alternate opening. So I would say that Grok thinking is better compared to both of the models. This point goes to Grok 3 thinking. Let's move on to the next question. So moving on to the next question, guys. Can you write the most intricate class simulation in p5.js? Let's see. Let's send this to all three models. Okay guys, we have got the responses. Starting off with Deepseek R1, it thought for 34 seconds. O3 mini high for 29 seconds and Grok 3 thinking took quite some time, that is 114 seconds. Let's copy the code from Deepseek R1. I have opened up p5.js viewer and let's paste the code and let's run it. Okay, so this is the cloth that we have got. For some reason we also have a sphere. We have various parameters like stiffness, damping and wind and everything. You also have the option to toggle tearing. Okay, and this is a 3D cloth, guys. It's kind of okay but not very good implementation. Moving on to O3 mini high. Let's see. Let's run it. Okay, this cloth simulation looks very good and it is following my cursor. I can clearly see that and it actually looks like a cloth, guys. Absolutely awesome. Now that is a clear win for O3 mini high. Let's see what Grok 3 thinking has come up with. Let's paste the code and let's run. Okay, we are getting something but I don't think that was awesome. Let's run it. Okay, it does seem like a cloth at first but something messy happened. So this win is for O3 mini high. We have got beautiful response from O3 mini high. Let's move on to the next question. So moving on to the next question, guys, this is what we have. Create a JavaScript animation of falling letters with realistic physics, and there are various conditions to follow. You can pause and have a look. So let's send this to all three models. Okay, we got the responses from all three models. Starting off with Deepseek R1. Let's copy the code, open up HTML viewer and let's paste it. And that is awesome. We are seeing the letters falling, but again we have that issue that the alphabets are weirdly straight. They are not falling realistically. They need to roll over and all those things. The bouncing is very good. They are bouncing when they hit the wall. They are bouncing. All of that is nice, but yeah, they are weirdly upright, which is not what should be happening. Anyways, now let's see what other models have come up with. Let's see what O3 mini I has done. Let's copy the code and paste. So I don't see any falling letters actually. Okay guys, so that's a fail, I guess. We don't see any falling letters. Maybe it was not able to fetch the letters. Even if it was not able to fetch the letters, we should see boxes dropping below, but that is not what's happening. That is a fail, guys. Moving on to Grok 3 thinking. It has given us code in snippets. So we'll just ask Grok 3 to sum up into one. Okay guys, we have got the response. Let's copy the code, open up HTML viewer and let's see. Okay guys, we don't see anything going on over here. That's a fail, guys. So clearly Deepseek R1 is better than these two models when it comes to this particular question. Now let's move on to the next question. So we have one more front end question. The question is, I want a single web page based on HTML, CSS and JS, one single code which has a mascot in the middle and its eyes and expressions follow the movement of my cursor as if seeing it. And when I go to click any option or do anything, it makes different expressions. No external assets will be provided. Give your best shot. Let's enable the think button and let's send this question to all three models. Okay guys, we have got the responses. Let's copy the code from Deepseek R1 and let's paste it. Okay, and that looks awesome. An absolutely very good response from Deepseek R1, guys. Expression looks good. We only have two expressions. That is nice. Let's move on to the next question. Let's see what O3 mini I has come up with. Let's copy the code and let's run it. Oh wow, it looks awesome. I don't know why it chose the angry mode, but it looks good. Now let's see what Grok 3 thinking has come up with. Let's copy the code and open up HTML viewer and paste it. Okay, it says happy, sad, surprised, neutral. Okay guys, comparatively we see more emotions when it comes to Grok 3 thinking. All the implementation kind of looks okay, but we have got more expressions over here. So that is a clear win for Grok 3 thinking, guys. So now moving on to the final question, guys. And it is indeed the Pac Man question. So if you don't know, here we ask the models to create state-of-the-art Pac Man game in Python without using any external file, guys. Like no audio, no video, no images. Anything required has to be programmatically generated. So let's see, guys. Let's send this question to all three models and we'll see what we get. Okay guys, we have got the response from all three models. Let's check them out. So starting off with Deepseek R1, you can see that it has thought for just 29 seconds, and O3 Mini High thought for 36 seconds, and Grok 3 Thinking thought for 39 seconds. So they are very close when it comes to thinking tokens. We can clearly see that Deepseek R1 has given us a complete code, and so has O3 Mini High, but Grok 3 Thinking has given us the code in bits and pieces. So we'll just mention that. So this is what you're mentioning: give complete code, no simplification, give state of the art. So let's send this, and meanwhile we'll be testing what we have got here. So starting off with Deepseek R1, let's copy the code. Let's move to the IDE. Let's paste the code. So immediately we see an error, guys, actually. So let's run the code and let's see. Okay, so bytes must be in a range of 0 to 256. So that is a fail. Let's do one thing. Since we are giving a chance to Grok 3 Thinking, we'll copy this error, just paste this error, and at the bottom we'll mention give state of the art. Let's send this to Deepseek R1. Meanwhile, moving on to O3 Mini High, let's copy the code, let's paste it, and that's nice. Immediately we don't see any kind of errors, guys. Also the code is well formatted, and let's run the code. And that works. Although I would say that it looks very basic. Okay, so I was able to move only in one direction, but after that I'm not able to move the Pac Man. Okay, so let's mention this to O3 Mini High. So this is what we are sending to O3 Mini High. Initially I was able to move the Pac Man, but after that I couldn't move it. Fix all the bugs and give state of the art game. Let's see, guys. So meanwhile we have the response from Grok 3 Thinking. So let's do one thing. Let's copy the code, move on to the IDE, let's paste the code. Okay, so immediately we don't see any kind of errors. That's a very good sign. I hope it works. So let's run the code. Okay, that looks awesome, guys. Press any key to start. Okay, that looks absolutely awesome. But and the audio is also good. Just have a listen. Touch the Pac-Man. See, that's absolutely awesome, guys. But Pac-Man is not positioned in the right way. We also have the option to restart. That's awesome. So I would say that that's comparatively a better response, but it's not right actually. So meanwhile, we have a response from Deepseek R1. Let's copy the code, let's paste it, and let's run. Okay, so immediately we don't see any kind of errors. Let's run it. That didn't run, guys. So moving on with O3 Mini High, let's copy the code, let's paste it, and okay, immediately we don't see any kind of errors. Let's run it. Okay, so I'm able to move the Pac-Man, guys, but even this one after a while actually stops. I'm not able to move the Pac-Man. So we'll mention this. So all the models have some or the other error. So let's do one thing. What we'll do is we'll give feedback to all these models once more. Let's do that. So starting off with Deepseek R1, I'll copy the error. I'll paste this. Please fix all the bugs and errors. Okay, so I've pasted the error and this is what we are sending. Please fix all the bugs and errors. Give best response. So let's send this to Deepseek R1. Meanwhile, to O3 Mini High, this is what we are sending. The Pac-Man moves and then stops after a while. Think fresh, come up with state-of-the-art game. And to Grok 3 Thinking, it got everything right, mostly, but the Pac-Man was not positioned in the correct place. So we'll mention. So to Grok 3 Thinking, this is what we are sending. The Pac-Man was not placed in correct place initially. That's the reason I couldn't play. So fix that and give me the best version. So meanwhile, we have the response from Deepseek R1, guys. Let's copy the code. This is the third time, guys, with these models. I remember when O1 preview was released, I was able to get a running game in just one go. Okay, so it has not given us the complete code actually. So we'll just ask the complete code. Meanwhile, let's move on to OpenAI O3 Mini High. It has given us the response, and I can see that it has updated the maze as well. Let's see. So again, we don't see any kind of errors. Let's run the code. Okay, and that works absolutely awesome. I'm able to eat the pellets, also eat the ghost, but the implementation is very simple and not like the actual one. But it's the first working code that we have got after 3 iterations. Okay, I can clearly see that the ghost is not moving, guys. So I was able to eat all the pellets and the ghost didn't actually move from its place. So that is what we have got from O3 Mini High. Moving on, we do have a response from Grok 3 Thinking, and it has not given us the complete code. So we'll just ask the Grok 3 non-thinking model, give me the complete code. Okay, so we have the complete code, guys. Let's copy the code from Grok 3. So I just asked the Grok 3 model to give the complete code, and I don't think it has done any changes. It has just stitched up all the different bits and pieces that Grok 3 Thinking gave. So this is a response from Grok 3 Thinking. So let's run the code. Press any key to start. Okay, that is absolutely pathetic, guys. This is not what I expected. I do see the maze here. I actually do see the maze, guys, but for some weird reason that is not what we see. Anyways, that is what we have got. We can't try for more than 3 chances, especially when one model, that is O3 Mini High, was able to get most of the things right. So Deepseek R1, guys, let's copy the code from Deepseek R1. Let's paste it. So this time we don't see any errors. That's nice. Let's run the code. Okay, and that looks absolutely awesome. So this looks very close to what Grok 3 Thinking gave in its first response, but after that it just messed up things. So comparatively, this point goes to O3 Mini High. Grok 3 Thinking could have easily won this by just fixing the error, but that didn't work. And with that, we reached to the end of this test. Let's get into the results, guys. Okay, guys, so what can be said? Starting off with the reasoning section, we saw that all 3 models got the artificial question right, where they had to connect the dots and understand the underlying word. Moving on to the grid question, again, all 3 models were able to get that right. After that, when it comes to the question of 64 tennis players, this is the first time any model has been able to get this right, and Grok 3 Thinking was that model. It got it right. And finally, the seating arrangement question, no model was able to get it right. So that is 3 points out of 4 for Grok 3 Thinking, 2 points out of 4 for O3 Mini High, and 2 points out of 4 for Deepseek R1. We can see that it's a clear win for Grok 3 Thinking. Now moving on to the coding section, we saw that when it comes to the snake game, both Deepseek R1 and Grok were able to do it, but Deepseek R1 was phenomenal, and I personally liked the output from Deepseek R1. Anyways, both Grok 3 Thinking and Deepseek R1 gain 1 point. Moving on to the dragon question, you could see that clearly O3 Mini High, being a model from OpenAI, is not very good in front-end development and aesthetics. And same stands true for Grok model as well in this particular question. That's the reason this point went to Deepseek R1. Talking about the Mario game, there was a complete turn. This time, Grok 3 Thinking was the only model which was able to give us a satisfactory response. Moving on to the circle question, again, Grok 3 Thinking was able to win this, although the response was not that good, but comparatively better. Talking about the P5JS animation, so here realistic physics are included, and as you guys know, OpenAI models are very good at it, and that's the reason only O3 Mini High was able to get this right. Talking about the foreign letters question, for some weird reason, O3 Mini High and Grok were not able to fetch the letters or show us anything other than the ball. That's the reason only Deepseek R1 was able to get this right. Talking about the mascot question, in that particular question, only Grok 3 Thinking was able to get it right. Talking about the final game, that is Pac Man question, all models gave a very disappointing performance, but comparatively, if I have to give 1 point, it was O3 Mini High. So the total scores for coding are Grok 3 Thinking gets 4 out of 8, O3 Mini High gets just 2 out of 8 points, and Deepseek R1 gets 3 out of 8 points. So there is a very good close call between Deepseek R1 and Grok. The reason being that all the front end and aesthetically better things, Deepseek R1 was able to perform better. So that's the reason we see this discrepancy. Anyway, again, even in the coding section, we see that Grok 3 Thinking wins. Talking about the max section, we could see that it's a clear sweep, guys. We could see that the first question, O3 Mini High and Deepseek R1 were able to get it right. Second question, Grok and O3 Mini High were able to get it right. And the final question, that is the frontier math question, O3 Mini High was the only model up until now who has been able to get this right. Even in my personal testing previously, I saw that this model was able to get it right. And the only reason it was able to get it right and other models were not, the reason being is it followed our instructions. Instead of just rushing into the conclusion like DeepSeek R1 or Grok, it gave us an intermediary code, waited for our response, analyzed on it, and then gave a response. That's the reason for Max, O3 Mini High is the best. So overall, we could say that Grok 3 Thinking is a better model when you compare to O3 Mini High or DeepSeek R1, and that's very much obvious because it has to be an O3 competitor. Looking at the comparisons, I don't think that it's way ahead of the competition. Anyways, this model is still in training and beta, so things might improve and we'll have a collision and we'll have a comparison with the O3 model when it's released. So I hope you liked the comparison. If you enjoyed this video, do consider hitting the like button. It helps the algorithm. So please make sure to do that. And also subscribe to my channel for more such detailed AI comparisons. With that being said, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.